in South Florida without talking to the man. Joining us now, he's been covering it for over 50 years. Larry Blustein joins us. National Signing Day is here. We're less than 24 hours until pen to paper. It's a little bit different this year. We had the big names, we had the marquee names, but the talk of college football is the transfer portal. From our perspective here in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast, there seems to be a little bit of a disconnect in terms of recruiting. What have you seen in talking to recruits these last few years now?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me in, Brian. I appreciate it. It's the whole landscape of recruiting has changed, obviously, because of the NIL, because of the portal. And it's kind of different now in colleges, especially the college coaches that I get a chance to talk to are more apt to take a kid who's a junior in college rather than a freshman, for obvious reasons, the experience, and certainly with rosters the way they are and the money that is flowing around through the NIL deals. This is the way you quick fix. Florida State has done it and did it really well, putting themselves in, contention for a national title. Obviously, they didn't get in the Final Four, but it did put them in a situation where you pick up over the last couple of years two receivers. You get 3 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and a safety out of the portal, and it puts you in contention right away. And that's what we're faced now, because a lot of the high school coaches are lamenting the fact that, a couple of years ago, a lot of their kids would have been, signing right now and getting ready in the next couple of days. But because of everything that is, backlogged because of the NILs and because of the portal, it's a different world.
How much, if at all, it doesn't have a fancy name, but high school transfers are its own thing as well. How do you see that impacting things? I've heard from some coaches where it's like, I go to this school, this kid's not here anymore. They've switched coaches 2 years ago. I don't know how to find them. What have you seen from the high school transfer aspect?
Well, and kind of my sweet spot because of the fact that over the last couple of years in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, you've had over 500 kids. 500 kids that have transferred from the end of December to the beginning of August. And it's that way because of the fact that they allow it. And you have that open enrollment. And if you could get to a place and they have an open desk, it's more prevalent in the inner city of Miami because of the fact that, the New Orleans and the Carol Cities and the Jacksons and the Northwestern, the Centrals are always under enrolled. So it becomes an endless loop. And, it's finding that way into Broward and Palm Beach County too. You have, a Palm Beach Central or a Palm Beach Gardens, which are kind of far removed. They have open desks because of the private schools and, not taking any issue with them because obviously everybody has a private school in their area. But in the Palm Beach County, you look at Suncoast and you look at some of the eastern schools like Lake Worth, they're wide open. And if somebody comes into those places, like a Forest Hill where there's desks, because everything now, the population has moved out west. And, you look into Wellington, you look at areas like that. It's even into West Boca, and you could see what's happening with that program over the last couple of years. What they're being able to get in because of the fact that they have those open desks that but a lot of the schools, in Palm Beach County, probably you look at even the inner city, quote unquote, schools like Santa Lucia's and schools like, Leonard and, that never were inner city schools before. Are still open. So Palm Beach County it's probably a lot more, you look into Broward and you look at schools like Cypress Bay, which has almost 4,800 kids. They can't even get a desk in there in Miami and Ferguson and some of those schools that are highly populated. And Palm Beach County's lucky because they don't have an overpopulation, especially, opening up new schools now. Right. They're scheduled to open 3 schools in the next 5 years because of the population's kind of spread out.
Larry Blustein on Twitter, National Signing Day, 24 hours from now. We see it a lot here in Palm Beach County. Some of the top stars end up transferring to Broward and Dade, so we don't get to experience Signing Day. One of those guys that stuck around, he had the helicopter visits. Everyone came through. Chauncey Bowen to Benjamin, and scheduled to sign with Georgia tomorrow. How much of a tip in the cap is it to say, hey, if Georgia's coming in, you're doing something right when it comes to Chauncey?
Yeah, he's a big time kid. It has been since he
Yeah.
started playing. So when I remember Florida early on, was in on him. I believe he committed early to Florida, but then kind of understood what a commodity he is. And you're right. I mean, a lot of these kids are gravitating towards Broward County now because of proximity. It's not that far to come from Boca Raton or even into Delray Beach area and to go down to a Fort Lauderdale to play at Gibbons or to play at a St. Thomas or some even Monarch, which picked up a couple of kids from Palm Beach County. I understand the way the landscape is. These kids are now driven by the rings and that $45 trophy more so than loyalty. And it's but it's not only in Palm Beach, it's everywhere. When I go up to the Panhandle or into Jacksonville and Tampa or Orlando, you hear the same stories, and I understand and I feel for them. But it's the game that everybody's playing now. So, unless you bite back a little bit, you're going to start losing your kids.
So Chauncey's at the top of our top 63 list. A young man that might be there in a couple of years, Javion Mallory, Palm Beach County Player of the Year as a sophomore. How special can Mallory be? We know the offer's already coming in, but with 2 more years of high school football, how special could he be for West Boca?
Yeah, he's a beast. Has a chance to be, I liken him to Jason Gathers, who back in the day at Spanish River was a 4-time All-State player and 2-time all Palm Beach County Player of the Year. And he's got that talent. He's got a special, gear. And you know what? He's a great young man too. I mean, he's obviously in good company. Richie Alexis, who watches out for him, former Pope John Paul type of All-American who went to Washington. Guys that are looking out for players like that and trying to keep them home, which is essential. And right now, I mean, obviously the talk on the street is St. Thomas is losing 3 running backs. And but you know what, I think he's the type of kid that stays loyal. I mean, he's a local guy, and he has a lot of ties. And I think because of the direction that West Boca is moving in, I think he's an integral part of it. And next year they may be the Monarch, or they may be the Coconut Creek for next year.
Obviously the skill players get all the love, but a guy who put points on the board, Jake Weinberg, American Heritage, committed to Florida State in January, saw that through, scheduled to sign with them tomorrow. The kickers, we don't give him enough love, but Jake Weinberg, we've seen him drill it from 50 plus. What are the Noles getting in a kicker like Weinberg?
Yeah, different level kid. And, Palm Beach County's always been home to some really good kickers, back to John Carney, who played in the NFL out of Cardinal Newman and went to Notre Dame. And they've always had those type of guys. And Jake is right in that mold. He's been this way since he was in the 8th grade. I used to see him at a lot of these, combines and camps that they hold, the Corn Blue camp or, Coles or whatever. And he's always been, at the top, very accurate. Yeah, he's a big time kid. Florida, they're getting obviously, I don't have to tell you, you've seen him. This is a young man that we had an opportunity to watch for a number of years, and he's just deadly accurate, and he's a tight, strong leg. You're not going to return many kicks on him. And, that's the type of guy that colleges and the NFL are looking for. And again, Jake's a super young man, gets it done in the classroom as well.
Last couple things here, Larry Blustein. Follow him on Twitter at Larry Blustein. The quarterback position, not a lot of big names in terms of seniors, but Tyler Aaron with SMU. Some at Benjamin early on. Is this considered a big win for SMU? They're not the big name, but to get Tyler to commit to them and stay with them, what does that mean for SMU?
No, remember this, they're in a bowl. They came really, really close to being the team that was going to play Oregon instead of Liberty doing it. So, and they're going to the ACC, and Rhett Lashley, who's a tremendous coach. We had a chance to watch him at the University of Miami, as an offensive coordinator. He's the guy that started Tyler Van Dyke off. He's going into a great situation. He's going to somebody who's a quarterback and an offensive oriented guy as a head coach. And, Tyler's been this way since he was 11 years old. He's kind of climbed the ladder. He's been somebody that everywhere he's gone, Brian, he's been a, marquee type of kid. And I think he goes to a program now that he could sit back and learn for a year or two. They have a couple of kids on hand, but I think he's the type of guy, as he learns and progresses, is going to fit right into the ACC. He's got the size, got the arm strength. All he needs is to take reps and get experience.
Final thing, we talked about the portal being sort of the talk of college football. Amari Williams, the star out of Benjamin, visited Florida State past week, reclassifying, foregoing that senior year to go to college. Is that going to be the new trend when we talk next year? All these guys that are saying, like, I don't need a senior year. Let me go get that NIL money now.
Yeah, well, you make a great point. Look at Armando Blunt, who went to Miami Central out of Dillard, committed to Miami, then backed off, and then committed to Florida State. And a lot of people are looking tomorrow for him to maybe swing back into Miami's direction. The Hurricanes are having a class. Yeah, and it's sad because of the fact that a lot of these high school coaches, they have enough problems,
Right.
with trying to keep their kids reclassify. He's really a big time talent wherever he's been. He's been that type of guy, and certainly he's going to have an impact, and he's going to be a big time kid.
Nobody does more for getting these kids recruited and getting that free education than our guy, Blue. Follow him on Twitter all day tomorrow, and of course all year long at Larry Blustein. Blue, thanks so much. Get some rest tonight. It's a big day tomorrow.